Hello from the rain-soaked Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. A bit delayed, but ready to go for TC America, powered by Skip Barber Racing School. Round 3 of the championship, second weekend of the 2021 season, third race of that season. And can't wait to get this one started in wet conditions. No ifs, ands, or buts about this. This is a full-on wet race, and 3 different touring car classes are ready to roll. 30 cars in total are set to take the green flag. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. Amanda Busick is in the pit lane. Calvin, we've got an expanded TCX class, a couple new contenders in TC, but an all throughout a really strong TC field, and then TCA as dynamic as ever. Can't wait to get rolling here for this first touring car race of the weekend.
Yeah, it's a real melting pot. So many manufacturers involved, obviously, with the 3 classes, and obviously front and rear wheel drive. You would think that the front wheel drive cars would have an advantage in these conditions in terms of being able to put the power down around this tricky racetrack. So it's wet as they've seen all weekend long, so it's going to be trying to tread carefully. It'll be a relatively short race. We anticipate when the safety car leaves pit lane that the clock will start for a 40-minute race. 1 lap behind the safety car, and then we'll see a green under single file. So we'll try and get through that turn 1 area, which funnels down safely, and get on with the program.
Heavy rainfall earlier this afternoon during the Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS race, that actually truncated that event, cut it about 15 minutes short, and then some lightning in the area extended the delay, but the rain has lessened. We haven't had any lightning strikes in some time, and after a lengthy delay, the TC America drivers in their cars and ready to go. They've been watching this track dry. I'm sure, Calvin, they watched the GT World Challenge race to get a sense for what track conditions could be like. How do you, though, prepare yourself for the unknown? You don't know what kind of grip will await you when that green flag does fly. Yeah,
and there's certainly some drivers out there with not a lot of experience in these conditions, so they may be a little bit intimidated. For the guys who do and girls who do have experience, well, totally different deal. This racetrack is well worn on the racing line. It's very polished, so if you tend to want to stay on that racing line and don't have the confidence to explore a little bit, that may really compromise your lap time. So you want to kind of go on an adventure, find out where the grip is, and just watch those painted curves, particularly if you're loaded up coming off the corners on the corner exit. They will take you for a ride, even though you do have some decent runoff room. In most corners, it's still easy to have a big one here.
Down amongst those cars in the pit lane is our own Amanda Busick. Amanda, how are you?
Well, guys, you see the windshield wipers on that 81 car moving. This is Jacob Rudd, and while he has a lot of road experience, he has never raced in the rain. I talked to his team prior to this race kicking off, and Jacob's a little excited to add more experience to his belt with this race right here at COTA.
Well, he's on the overall pole, and also the pole, of course, in the TCX class, which made its debut at Sonoma. There, we saw the debut as well, the BMW M2 CS. That's the car that you see throughout the TCX field. Up to 5 cars here this weekend from a couple of different teams. Interesting to see established names like Steve Stryber making the jump up, Samantha Tan as well, a longtime competitor in SRO America competition, joining with Jacob Rudd, who is so strong at Sonoma. Roy Block, John Hennessy with us this weekend as well. What do you make of this new class? Because I think it's going to be here to stay. It sounds like there's quite a few cars coming, even as soon as the next round of the championship at VIR.
I think it's a nice step up from the TC class in terms of horsepower and performance. So I think it's really a great step in terms of where you want to go to next from that TC class. I mean, obviously, there are some TCR cars with the DSG transmission that we expect to join the fray maybe as early as VIR. There's other entries with the BMW, and there's also rumors of maybe another manufacturer on the not too distant horizon. So I think it's an exciting class, and great to see a few more competitors here than we had at Sonoma.
There is John Hennessy racing out of the classic BMW stable. It is a classic BMW entry on the overall pole. That's what Jacob Rudd will be driving. Steve Strymer from Hard Motorsport, a longtime competitor in TC America, had a great opening weekend. Actually was second in points in the TC category leaving Sonoma, but elected to make the jump to TCX. I think he likes what he sees.
Yeah, he certainly does, and nice performance in qualifying. So he'll be looking to try and grab that first win, particularly as we just heard our pole sitter has not had any wet weather experience. So he's going to be leading the field up into turn one for the first time and trying to make the right braking point and get it through that corner nice and safe. But we expect it to be at least 4 to 5 wide, if not more, as you get into that brake zone for the first time.
In the TC field, I think it's fascinating. Joe Federal will start on pole, got his first career win at the pro level. You see his car right there, the Bossman grooming machine that Joe drives. He picked up the win here at COTA last year, the first time we came here in race number 2. Frankly, the rest of the season was not as positive for Joe, but he's from Austin. This track is home to him, and we know that he's got the wherewithal to get it done. Can he do it from pole, though?
Well, he's certainly starting in the right spot, and the history is that the car is well suited here. Obviously, in the rain, very different conditions. I'm not sure how the rear-wheel drive Nissan will compare with some of the other marks out there. He's got 3 very fast Hondas behind him with Mike Lamara, Eric Powell, and Kevin Bohm coming off a TCA championship run last year. So it's not going to be easy. There's a pretty stout TC field this year.
And Kevin Bohm, who you mentioned, is the points leader, leaving Sonoma, won one of those 2 races. The other race winner in TC was Eric Powell, who will start alongside him in row number 2 of the TC field. Powell had that great win in race 1 and started on pole for race 2, but had some damage, and that set him back, so ultimately settled for 4th there. One other thing out of the TC class that's definitely worth highlighting is the debut of a brand new TC car from Mini.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's the Mini JCW Pro car, right?
Yes.
Pro TC, I think
Yes.
we're calling it. So
That's right.
we just got that message this morning. It was labeled something different on the entry list. We'll try and get that one correct. But it's been a lot of work, and spoke to the team this weekend, and it's really just been the last month working night and day, literally, to get that car ready. Hadn't turned a wheel until it showed up here this weekend, but showing a lot of pace. It's essentially the same motor that they ran in TCA with a little bit more boost. So interesting to see how that one goes. It looks awesome. I mean, it's a really pretty little race car, so we'll see how it performs here today.
Yes, the Mini JCW Pro TC. You hit the nail on the head. It's kind of an amalgamation of different Minis. Talking to Louis Pericarpi, who runs the team. Some parts coming from a certain model, others from other models, but the 95, if not more, % of that car is original equipment from the manufacturer. And they've got some real big hopes, but this is its debut, not just race debut. The track debut happened this weekend, and Mark Pombo qualified that car 5th.
Yeah, and it was very interesting to listen to Lewis kind of tell the story of how it was put together, and okay, they put the rear wing on, what do we think, where should it be? So kind of going back old school in terms of designing race cars and putting it together and getting it to the racetrack versus the homologation phase that we typically go through. But the series will certainly be on top of it in terms of getting that car balanced performance-wise into the right window with the rest of the field.
Then, of course, there's TCA, and on that class pole, it's Caleb Bacon out of the Forbush Performance Stable. A lot of racing history in that family and under that tent. Keep an eye on them to be awfully stout. But I think the big question mark is these qualifying times set in much different conditions than what we're seeing right here.
Yeah, we could see a shake-up in terms of driver experience in these conditions, car performance, how ideally they're suited. So that should make it exciting. We should see a lot of passing in this race today. Hopefully we stay safe and the track conditions will allow these drivers to do what they like to do.
One other car to keep an eye on out of the TCA ranks, PJ Gronke from Tech Sport Racing. In that Toyota 86, he'll start 4th, but was fastest in the wet practice session they had earlier this weekend. He told me he's been coming here ever since the series started coming here. He's got some wet laps around this place, and he was hoping for rain. The rain dance paid off for PJ Gronke, a former TCB champion in TC America. Looks like the pace car has accelerated away just a little bit, and Jacob Rudd now in control of this field. Because this was technically a safety car start, it will be a single file start, and it won't come at the traditional green flag site, which is different than where the checkered flag is displayed here at Circuit of the Americas. We understand the green flag will come further up, as if this was a restart rather than an official race start.
Okay, well, we'll see how everyone deals with that. Certainly single file. Should keep it a little bit cleaner as opposed to the normal fan out that we see, which is always spectacular. But I think the key for everyone is just to get some laps under a belt here today.
You see the classes taking their splits. trying to separate a little bit. Certainly TCX from TC. We'll have a second flying start from TCA just a little bit behind. This is the final corner. Jacob Rudd making his way through there. Steve Strymer out of the Hart Motorsports stable will be close behind. There is the green flag from Tom Hansing, and we are racing at Circuit of the Americas, third race of the TC America, powered by Skip Barber Racing Schools. Season is underway and under green.
And you see the gap, then the TC field now at the start-finish line there, making the romp up the hill. Federal taking the lead there in TC.
A little 2x2 action further back in the TCA field. Make it 3 wide further back. That's a bold move from one of the Hondas, I think, up the inside. Apologies, it's hard to identify the cars with the spray. But everyone clean through turn number 1. And Calvin, that's the idea behind the safety car start and the single final start to this race.
Yeah, and spreading out the classes. And I think the competitors themselves, maybe they got together on the grid and said, listen, let's just give each other a little bit of breathing room on these opening laps and try and get into a bit of a rhythm here. As you can see, the clock's already ticked down to 30 minutes to go from the 40 minutes. Oh, look at the slide there. That was a big one. The 50 machine of John Hennessy.
That's one of the TCX cars right now currently falling into the clutches of the TC leaders. Joe Federal leading the way. I think that's Eric Powell in the Skip Barber Racing School team entry. One of a couple of cars out of that stable, both in TC and TCA competition. Powell already a race winner earlier today, and he's coming up the inside of Federal. And Samantha Tan, one of the TCX entries, also in the mix. Here comes Kevin Bohm working his way around the outside of a sister Honda runner from LA Honda World. Bohm racing for DXDT Racing.
Yeah, and he and his team have said it's nice to be under that DXDT tent this weekend.
Literally.
They're by themselves and being fed some beverages and kept nice and comfy and warm, so they certainly appreciate that support.
Now, the point about the tent is especially poignant because when he got started in SRO America last year, it was an open trailer, no tent to speak of. So, quite literally, that tent is valued by Kevin and Sharon and the rest of that operation there. So it looks like Powell to the lead around Federal. This is Bohm in hot pursuit. Didn't have the best qualifying effort. His first laps in the wet in a TC spec car came earlier this weekend. He's making that step up from TCA, where he was the champion a year ago.
Yeah, and Kevin's just got so much experience. I think he has 4 national championships behind his name, and he just knows how to get the job done. He's just very methodical in his approach. And you know they'll be at the sharp end by the end of the season, if not winning another championship. But right now, just trying to get a feel for this car, which is very different in these conditions to what he's driven before.
Powell pulling a gap. He's up to 3rd overall as well. Around the outside comes Joe Federal, looking right at home, as you would expect, the Austinite here on his home circuit.
The debris there that Samantha Tan just kind of straddled there on the entry at turn 20. Hopefully it didn't cut a tire or anything.
Look at that run off the final corner. I thought Bohm had a better one than it turns out he did. Now you see the power in the TCX car as Samantha Tan sprints away from Federal, who's now falling into the clutches of Kevin Bohm.
Yeah, I think there's about a 75 horsepower difference between these TCX cars and the TC cars, so they should have a significant advantage in these high-speed sections of this racetrack.
A couple of fast movers here in the early running. Jeff Rika up 6 spots on that opening lap. Toby Rahovic up 3 spots. They're now running in the 7th and 8th overall, and just off the podium in TC. Here comes Federal working on Samantha, and she just got a little bit loose. Great job blowing that car down and keeping it off the barriers.
Yeah, and I think what she was doing there is just trying to keep it clean. She could see that she's going to get into the side of the other race car, just tighten her hands a little bit, and there wasn't enough bite in the rear tires, turned it around. But nice save. Fortunately, got on a piece of racetrack that did have some grip and straightened her up.
Samantha has been busy racing in some long-distance endurance races in the Middle East, going back to the winter, and then in Europe as of late. Let's take a look at this replay here. Steve Strymer, a little further back, that's Powell, and this is what we were just looking at a moment ago. Samantha Tan there in that BMW.
Yeah, I think she was trying to avoid the car to her outside, that Federal possibly, and also she was up and over the curbs a little bit, and I think it just kind of unsettled the car right when she needed the bite.
No harm, no foul, however, and she'll race on. And Hyundai's making a move there to the inside. Racing throughout this field. This Mini we're looking at here, this is one of the TCA Minis. Not that
Jones.
Yep, not that new one we were talking about.
sister machine. So see how the Minis perform. Very short wheelbase car.
Talking to Louis Pericarpi again, who heads up that team, which also runs the LA Honda World team. The Minis traditionally do excel in conditions just like these. This is the season debut, by the way, for Derek Jones in TC America, but he's got a lot of history running with Mini JCW team, the LAP Motorsports team, in various championships over the last decade or so.
18 car of Caleb Bacon started the race from the TCA pole. No, he's still leading TCA.
Yeah, just dropped down maybe the overall order slightly. It's been up and down, to say the least.
Nice young man, grandson of Al Bacon, who had so much success back in the 80s with predominantly with the Mazda brand.
That is our race leader.
Ooh,
with a bit of a twitch, and then Strymer goes around.
Yeah.
Second place, Strymer with the spin. You saw the leader.
Oh, look, everyone behind him. They see that car, try to pull and tighten up a little bit, and that causes a moment. Fortunately, plenty of room there. You can actually go to the left of Steve's car if you needed to.
I think Rudd kind of gave us an idea of what to expect. He was really twitchy through that section, too. Rudd continues to lead. Powell now, that's the car we're looking at here. That is now second overall. The leader in TC, Jeff Rica, the Gen Racer entry in that Hyundai Genesis, up into second. But Joe Federo dropping down to third. What a great start from Rica.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Great to see. Love the passion that he has with his racing.
He qualified 10th. Taking advantage of these conditions. There he is. He's up 8 spots.
Developing this race car, so great to see these conditions give him the opportunity to shine.
Jeff at Sonoma was unable to finish the first race. There was a mechanical issue. Whoa, he is drifting around that corner. And so he did not run in the second race. The sister car, though, Michael Sousa was driving, and he had, I think, a top 5 finish. I'll check that in a second.
Right.
And so showed the potential of that car. And Sousa's not here this weekend. That second car has a different driver behind the wheel, but clearly there's been a lot of development going into that TC spec Hyundai, and these conditions seem to suit it nicely.
Certainly the conditions suiting Jacob Rudd, who has not experienced conditions like this, so he's obviously loving life, but you'd expect someone like Eric Powell with his experience and just his natural speed to excel in conditions like this. So yes, he's late in his class, but you know, someone like Eric and his personality, he wants even a bit more. He'd love to chase down that TCX car.
Kurt Washeim, by the way, is in the other TC spec Hyundai from the Gen Racer team. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Eric Powell didn't do a whole lot of racing last year. Got plugged in at the end of the season at Indianapolis and got a race win there and was really impressive. But what a great opportunity. Plugged in with the Skip Barber team. There's already a rapport there between Eric and Skip Barber. Does some work for them.
And I'm not sure if he was the catalyst or not in terms of how this program has come together, but they really wanted to develop almost like a ladder system for their students. Where do we go next? Okay, we teach you all of this stuff in terms of racecraft and the basics of racing. So I think to now introduce the team, the Skip Barber team, into these classes is just a tremendous alley for these students to go to. And with Eric, with his experience and his knowledge, just tremendous lead. A little bit of a wobble here through turn 2 for Rudd. See it just in the mist there that he had a bit of a moment.
Strymer, by the way, did get going again. Still is second place in the TCX category, but has fallen back quite a bit and actually might have lost that second place, so I might have spoken too soon there. I think that actually puts Samantha Tan now up into second in TCX. Here comes the battle for the overall lead, and give it to Eric Powell. That was decisive.
Yeah, no. I had a feeling that was what his target was. Let me get to the front, and we talk about drivers constantly in terms of talent and not slipping through the net. I mean, Eric Powell is still one of those guys that we hope gets his shot at the big time, because whenever he drives, he puts in performances like this where he takes it to the front and there's always someone to beat.
Yeah, he was third in the TCA category in 2016, back in the Pro World Challenge days, driving a MX-5 Cup car, with a win and 6 podium finishes that year. Race for Tech Sport again the next year, was 4th in the championship in a Subaru, 4th again the next year in a Subaru, 4 wins between those 2 seasons, and then mostly focused on his role that he had at the time with Tech Sport Racing and wasn't doing as much driving, but did find the time to run in the one season we had the Saline Cup with us and finished 3rd in the Pro-Am category there, but just 2 starts last year. That's it for this guy, and I'm sure this is an opportunity that's given him a new lease on life.
Yeah, and I think last year, particularly with the COVID situation, F drivers were kind of out of the mix a little bit. Oh, that's tight. I'm surprised there wasn't contact. In fact, there is contact. Didn't look like that was going to work with the steering input from both drivers there going through turn 12. But yeah, tough year for drivers who didn't have a solid ride to try and find something, because everything was so temperamental in terms of commitments from teams and what everyone was ultimately going to do for the season.
That was 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, I think, overall. So Federo has given up the 4th position overall and final step of the TC class podium to Toby Grahovic. Looked like Toby had made that pass. He had passed Mike Lamara on the previous lap. So Toby is currently on a charge. Let's take a look at the replay here. See if this gives us any insight. Ooh, there is some contact there.
Yeah, fortunately with the front wheel drive cars, when you get tipped like that, just nail the gas pedal. Sometimes that will pull you straight.
And that might explain why Lamar lost that spot. I think that's the Lamar loss. So that does provide some insight indeed. So Federo now just up the road from this battle. Lamar at the head of it.
Lamar, a really strong qualifying run and good performance so far in the race today. Partners with Mario Biendo in terms of owning the LA Honda World Racing team. Mario has a lot of experience running different franchises, including marques like Ferrari and Bentley. He was involved with the Ferrari Challenge team and then elected that he wanted to own his own dealership. He and Mike were buddies and made that move down to LA about 3.5 years ago, and very successful business, and they're very into the racing in terms of promoting their brand.
Kevin Bohm right there is the man on the move at the moment. That car, the CrowdStrike Racing Honda Civic out of the DXDT Racing tent. He made a pass on Austin Smith. Both of these guys, I think, were able to get past Smith. I believe that's the BMW there at the back of the shot, putting on a drift show for us. And now Bohm trying to run down Lamara for the 5th position in TC.
So he's dropped a little bit back from his original qualifying position here, but on the rebound, still got a little bit of time to work with, but you can't really rely on that clock staying green with these conditions. It will only take a little mistake for us to suddenly have an issue out there, so you've got to work with the time quickly in terms of don't just count it down. It could suddenly end and not have a lot of track time left to do some work with.
Hyundai versus Honda, and is this...
This is Rika for the lead.
Yeah, that's right. Rika has run down Eric Powell and made the move.
So this is why Powell is probably on the charge too. He wanted to try and maximize his speed, and knowing that there's some very fierce competitors in this class here.
And he's able to counterattack around the outside and at least for the moment take that spot back. But drive of the day has to go to Jeff Rika, qualifying considerably down the order in 10th. But using the conditions to his advantage.
Great to see the support that Brian Herder Auto Sport providing all of the Hyundai customer teams. David Brown, a legendary engineer over the years with Formula One teams and with Porsche most recently, is now employed by Brian Herder to be on site and really assist all of these customer teams. And there you can see that Hyundai has plenty of grunt up this climb up the hill.
No lack of juice, that's for sure. Now he's going to try and cover the inside as Rika makes that move back to the lead. He held it ever so briefly. Eric Powell not ready to give it up easily. Not sure he's got a whole lot, though, that he can do, given the strength of that Hyundai.
Surprised that Jeff could make that work. He came in there a very acute angle to the approach to turn 1 to try and protect that inside lane and not give it to Eric. Still managed to get the car turned and get off the corner.
love watching these guys through this section of the track. Look how much water they're kicking up. There is a lot of rain that has been dropped around this track. Nothing straightforward about finding lap time.
Jeff's having fun there, just drifting that, using the platform well.
Now, basically halfway through what turned into a 30-minute race. Originally 40 minutes, but the clock got started as soon as the pace car led the field out onto the track due to the conditions that had us in a lengthy delay prior to the start of this race. Eric Powell, Jeff Ricca up front. Ricca currently leading. And our TCX leader, Jacob Rudd, running in third. Toby Grahovic has charged through the field past Federer, and he is now third in TC and fourth overall.
Warsheim is running in the 9th position.
Yep, qualified right behind his teammate, Ricca. I think he started in 12th, so would have been directly behind had they started 2 by 2. It was a single file start.
Caleb Bacon, pole sitter and leader in TCA, having a nice run here.
Yes, he is. Doing a really nice job. Signal sponsorship on that car, just a little bit behind. How aggressive do you want to be? You'd like to clear the traffic if you can, but just to have a little bit of a buffer, right? But you certainly don't want to take any undue risk.
No, that's one of the difficulties when you're in multi-class racing. I mean, you've got to think about the big picture of where is the class opposition at this point in the race and not take too much risk. But as we saw with Eric Powell, he went on a charge there, got by Rudd, and the reason was he knew that he had some really fast cars behind him, and maybe his team were alerted to the fact that the safety car may be out there. We see double yellows flying, so we may have a safety car out on the racetrack. But to your point, I think Caleb Bacon just wanted to try and clear that traffic and just lay down his lap time as best he could.
There you go, double yellow. That should indicate safety car out on the circuit, ready to pick up our overall leader, which right now is Jeff Ricca. Eric Powell dropped back to second. He was about 1 second behind the last time across the line. Then our TCX leader, Jacob Rudd, running in third. No report as of yet as to what has brought out the safety car. Visually, the track looks pretty similar to the condition it was in when we got started. And hopefully we can get some clarity on that situation. As you said, Caleb Bacon doing a great job running in the lead in TCX. Sorry, in TCA rather. So the field will be bunching up behind the safety car for a moment, and one thing that does do, Calvin, is cars at speed do help to displace some of that standing water. You slow them all down, and you could end up with some puddling. Looks like we do have a car stranded off to the side of the track, however.
Yeah, and I think the difficulty for Jeff Ricca and Powell is we have this TCX wave-by rule when we go to yellow, so if we do see some more green flag running, they may elect. I think it's up to the stewards at their discretion, but typically you're going to see the TCX cars, the whole field, go to the front and lead the field back to green.
That is the brand new Mini that is stranded there. Mark Pombo behind the wheel. It's somewhat to be expected when you're doing your development at the racetrack. Quite frankly, I think they were over the moon with the performance of that car through practice and qualifying. To start fifth in a very competitive TC field on debut speaks volumes to the amount of work that went into that car.
It's good and bad, though, right? When you got a new car and as the series is looking at it in terms of balance of performance, and they think, oh, you're a little bit too racy here, straight out of the box. You don't want to have any shackles put on you at this early stage of the development process. So always a double-edged sword there in terms of performance and what the rules will allow you for the next event.
Now we'll have to wait and see how lengthy this delay is. So we have been told that Jacob Rudd should be pronounced rude, so apologies there. Did check in with the team for what it's worth, and we were told Rudd, but since have been told rude would be the way to go, so I guess we'll be rude.
Be rude not to, right?
Apologies for that, though. We do our best to get the names right, and did check in with the team earlier this weekend, and have done our best to do with what we were told, but we will adjust moving forward. All right, safety car situation. This is a big reset here for our top two. Eric Powell had just lost that lead to Jeff Rica a few moments before the safety car was deployed. Can he use this as a chance to gather his thoughts a little bit, come up with a strategy to try and get that spot back?
Yeah, well, he'll probably have recognized where the strengths and weaknesses are for both himself and Rica that he's trying to get around, and maybe he can use the opportunity if we do in fact get the TCX cars back to the lead of this field. These conditions may dictate differently, so it's down to the stewards to do that, but it's certainly in the rule book this year that the TCX cars would get a wave by under yellow before we went back to green.
Looking further down, looks like Jacob Rudd should be safe there in the lead of TCX, barring anything untoward, because the next closest TCX competitor is Samantha Tan, who's done a nice job. We saw her with the moment at one point, a big slide and had to lock it down, but was able to keep going. She's currently second in that class, but considerably down the overall order.
But the key is if they do the wave around, the whole TCX field would move back. But look at her best lap compared to Rude's. I don't think she'd be a threat in terms of what she's displayed so far today, but you never know.
No, you do not. And then in TCA, Derek Jones, he is right there behind. Actually, it's a three-car fight up at the front with Bacon, Jones, and Blanco. Blanco, very new to touring car racing. He's had a lot of success in the junior open wheel formulas and is adapting nicely to the wet. I wonder if he has done much driving in the wet in a closed cockpit car before this weekend, and I suspect the answer is no.
Right. Learning front wheel drive and how you have to manage the tires, that's not so much an issue today, but love this team. It's just got so much personality. It's very cool.
Yeah, that's the VGMC Motorsports team. Victor Gonzalez heads that up. He was racing at Sonoma. Had a bit of misfortune in his races, but I'll tell you what, he is excellent television. Whenever we can put him on, it seems like he's making a move on someone. There's a lot of aggression there. Was so close to a win all of the season last season and finally got it in the last race of the year, and it's about as happy of a victory lane interview as I've ever done.
Yeah, that would be a great reality TV series to follow his group around in terms of how they put their program together. Pretty cool.
It was an amazing story when they showed up. It was Sonoma a couple of years back, and it was Victor and Ariano Cruz, the team manager. That was it. They were working on the car themselves, open trailer, and it has
wins, right?
Yes, they did, and it has grown in a huge way. They got a ton of support from Honda and HPD, and they've opened up opportunities for drivers from their native Puerto Rico, but other parts of Latin America as well, to come touring car racing here in the States, and it's a really exciting initiative, and Jose Blanco is a big part of that. Identified him as a talent that maybe ran out of money to keep moving up the open wheel ranks, but sees touring car racing or sports car racing as an opportunity like so many young drivers do. And he was loving his racing at Sonoma when I had a chance to talk to him. He was really thrilled.
Well, that TCA battle, if we see some green flag action, could be pretty tasty because the front runners are very close in terms of their fastest laps here today. So Caleb certainly looked like he had it under control and does have the edge in lap time, but not to the extent that the gap had really developed in this race today.
No indication as of yet, or as I say that, are the lights off on the safety car? They are. So we might have a sprint to the finish before this is all said and done.
Yeah, I don't see any TCX wave by, though.
I believe that can be done at the discretion
right.
of the stewards, and maybe in conditions like these, it's not worth inherent risk. The safety car into the pits. And here comes the field looking for the restart. Jeff Rica out in front. Eric Powell running second. Jacob Rude, third in line, leader in the TCX class, but surrounded by a bunch of hungry TC competitors. Green flag in the air, and Jeff Frika gets a bit of a jump there on Eric Powell.
Watch Rude, though. He's got a lot more horsepower as they accelerate along this front stretch here up into the turn one braking zone, but maybe he's elected, you know what, I don't need to fight these cars, even though they're in the class below me. I'm just going to try and keep it clean and get my third victory of the year.
And it is a team car that I think just slipped through the inside for third on the road. Oh, we're seeing safety car again. I guess that's what the graphics said. We'll see if that is the case, but I think Grahovic made his way around Rude there.
He did, tucked it to the inside there, going through turn one.
And he's been one that's been on a move to this point in the race. Keep an eye on Toby. Can he run down Powell? Looks like we are clear. Don't believe the safety car is on the track, so that is good news. Here's Federal now, the pole sitter in
There's
TC.
Lamar. What a move. Tucks it to the inside. That's bold.
Oh, can he hold it together?
That's nice. Flicks it sideways, uses the front wheel drive. Bohm goes to the outside of Federal here. Big battles here with time running out.
Banging fenders just that little bit there, but Bohm gets the pass made. And is up another spot for those two. So Federal dropping from fourth down to sixth, I think. Move Lamara up into the fourth spot. Bohm now into the top five.
It's go time. If you got anything left, use it up now.
Austin Smith there, toward car. Look at that visibility, or lack thereof.
There's a race in there somewhere, Ryan. You can't quite see it, but...
A great restart from Rika. He did exactly what he needed to do. Powell couldn't quite get the jump, but I'm really curious about the third car in line. What can Toby Grahovic do? Veteran driver, lots of experience. He's going to draw upon all of that.
Doesn't have a ton of time to work with, though, so wait and see what the graphic shows in terms of time remaining in this race, but is running out fast.
Just about 4 minutes, I think, left for these competitors in this 40-minute race, third race of the season in TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. Federal is under attack once again. Saw that at the back of that picture. This restart's been a bit treacherous for him.
I'm amazed in these conditions how well these cars have handled, how the tires have held on, and the job that the drivers are doing. This is not easy. I mean, this is not easy, even though you got a lot of road to work with, a lot of real estate, with the painted curbs and everything. So easy to make a little mistake.
Side by side further back, and I think that is Federal dropping another spot, trying to come back up the inside here in that Tech Sport Racing entry. Lost the spot in the corner, but got some good drive out of the turn number 20.
Is Austin Smith as he's battling there?
I think it is. And that is for 6th and 7th in TC.
Here we go. This is going to be a good little battle here, I think, with Bohm and Lamar. That's for fourth position. Kevin very much on the rebound here in this race. He'll know the big picture. I don't think he'll take any unnecessary risk, but he wants a little bit more. He likes those podiums.
And it's right there in front of him, too. What more motivation do you need?
See someone there working vigorously with a rag inside the cockpit to try and clear the misted windshield screen.
You carry that around with you?
Oh, I remember, I think I was watching Hans Stuck somewhere with a rag on the end of a stick, and he was like on, you know, leading the race and pulling away, and he's like vigorously like using the stick to try and see where he's going.
Anything you can do to give you some visibility.
There's nothing worse. You can't really see, even if you have a clear windshield, let alone when the inside is falling on like that. It's like trying to take a shave without turning on the fan in your bathroom with a really sharp razor. It just doesn't feel good.
The minis stepping out sideways just a bit over the curbing on the corner exit.
A lot of water on that racetrack.
Yes.
It's like the tire tracks aren't really making an impression.
The rain has been incessant ever since it got going. It's just been a matter of degree. This is stacking up a little bit here behind Smith and Federal. We've got, that was Smith totally sideways right in front of us there for a moment. Did he catch that? He did. but it let Federo get to his door there on the right-hand side.
Turn 15. Federo just opens up his hands there and allows 2 cars down to the inside.
Joe had a big old twitch he had to correct. That car looks really difficult to control. It's still 3 wide.
Yeah, rear-wheel drive there, of course, going up against some front-wheel drive machinery. It's not going to be easy.
That's Washheim making the pass around the outside in the second-gen racer car.
A little twitch again by Federo. He is really just hanging on at this stage.
And Lindsay Brewer next in line to go on the attack. Looked like she was able to get alongside as well. Now settles back in line, at least for the moment. We're down to just 33 seconds on the clock. The leaders have already gone through, so they'll get the white flag the next time around. Shot of all the spray off of these cars.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Up front, it is a 4-second gap between Rika and Powell. Correction, we've already received the white flag. Checkers next time by. Mike Lamara is up to 3rd. Bohm is 4th. What happened to Toby Grahovic? He's dropping down the order.
Yeah, just inside the top 20 now, 18th position, so he's had an issue.
Unless this is another transponder issue related to the weather, perhaps. We'll have to monitor that situation. Final lap here as Federo tries to hold off Lindsay Brewer. This is the fight for 7th in TC. Here comes Brewer up the inside.
Find her way through here, and Federo, our pole sitter, is just trying to hang on here. Damage limitation in terms of points lost. Coming off the victory here last year, he's not going to repeat. Just hanging on right now. 7th position in class. One of the bumps are on the outside lane, the right side as you come down the hill, so it's pretty typical for drivers to sort of like swing it to the middle of the road there to try and avoid those bumps, which will unsettle the car even in dry conditions.
It was a nice move from Lindsay Brewer, still very much learning these touring cars. It's been an educational weekend. She was also racing in the Skip Barber Formula Car Series race earlier this weekend. That was held in the wet.
Tell you what, Rick has put on a clinic since we got this restart here. He's just taken off.
Really, since the start of this race. Qualified 15th overall, 10th in class, and barring something unfortunate, he is in line for his first win of the season. Did not finish, was not classified in race 1 at Sonoma, did not run in race 2. How about this bounce back, though, from Jeff Rika, Gin Racer, a car that he has been developing over the last several years. Looking very strong from 10th in class on the grid and 15th overall. Jeff Rika drives through the field, and a TC car wins overall in TC America Race 1 at Circuit of the Americas.
Great performance, just perfect execution in these conditions. Very tricky. Eric Powell, another strong run. Good points for him today. Battle to the line with Lamara just pipping Bohm there.
I bet Bohm wishes the checkered flag was given where they give the green flag. He might have had a shot at it there, but Lamara holds him off. That's the final step of the podium for TC. Bohm settles for 4th. Rude is 5th overall and wins in the TCX class, his 3rd in succession to start the season. Austin Smith, Joe Federo did get back around Lindsay Brewer, it appears. She is now 7th in TC. Then your TCA winner is this one. Caleb Bacon gets it done. Derek Jones 3 seconds back in 2nd place. Jose Blanco gets it done, finishing up on the podium in 3rd.
Well, I tell you what, that was just tremendous driving by the whole field. There's so few errors in what were treacherous conditions. Well done, everyone. So we saw some good racing considering the conditions, Ryan, and we had that yellow flag there, brief interruption, but nonetheless, good battle, and everyone can fight to hopefully see a sunny day tomorrow.
Yeah, let's hope so. But I'll echo your sentiments. Given the conditions, we had one full course yellow, but it was not for an accident. It appeared to be a car that had some kind of a mechanical issue, and to run as clean as we did, with it raining as hard as it is remarkable. All of these drivers ought to be commended. Everyone coming through to complete this one. Our race 1 and 2 winner of the season Jesse Love, the open-wheel dirt track veteran who's been tabbed by Toyota Racing Development as part of their young driver program on the NASCAR side of things, getting a taste not just of the Circuit of the America track, but also racing in the rain, brings it home an impressive 5th. Gotta wonder if driving around the Chili Bowl in a midget or something like that is some preparation for slinging one of these touring cars sideways in the rain. He's a quick study. He was really impressive in Sonoma, sweeping the weekend there for Tech Sport. I'm sure he learned an awful lot, and that's exactly why Toyota put him in this position.
Oh, it's great to see TRD supporting these drivers and bringing them up to speed with their skill level in road racing. It's pretty cool.
Great stories up and down the lineup. Eric Powell, winner of race 1, 4th place race 2. A good 2nd place run here, and it comes when his championship rival, Kevin Bohm, finishes 4th. Not a bad result for Kevin, but it does certainly help Eric.
Well, Kevin lost a little bit of ground in the early going, didn't he? And then started to go on a charge there a little bit. So I'm not sure if he had a moment or just got out fumbled through a couple of the corners. But nonetheless, the type of drive you expect from him and just good points. Not the best of days. It's rare that he finishes off the podium, but nonetheless, didn't throw it away and was almost there as a sprint to the line for that final podium spot. Lamara has to be happy with his performance, I would think.
I think so, too. And for the TC class, which in dry conditions I don't think would have a chance to do this, but comes home with the top 4 spots overall, speaks to the strength of the field in TC, of those teams, drivers. A lot of front-wheel drive cars helps too. And Jacob Rude, perfectly clean, did exactly what he needed to do to get the race win in TCX. To your point about Mike Lamara, though, big bounce back for him. Brighton, Michigan native, finished 8th in race 1 at Sonoma, and then not classified in race 2. So this gets his point situation jump-started a little bit as Jeff Rica is out of the car. All smiles there.
That's cool. I mean, a lot of these race teams at this level are relatively small, and you can really see the passion and the joy and the satisfaction from a day like today.
Well, this has been a labor of love for Jeff. He's been racing Hyundais since at least 2013 in various classes and in various guises, and they've been working on this car for a while, trying to get it up to speed, ready to go. I think they had big plans last year, and maybe COVID stepped in the way of that, but great start to the season. Let's go down to Amanda, who's got a happy winner down there in Victory Lane.
Well, in a single file start, Jeff Rica started 15th on the track. We were by your pit when you took over the lead. Your team and your wife were cheering. You won here 2 years ago in the rain. What have you figured out about driving in these conditions?
Well, it's a track a lot. I mean, this is very grippy when it's wet, and you just got to know how to set the car up. And with that rain delay and everything, it was like a perfect, blessing. So we put a setup that we knew would work. We had a nice practice the other day that was wet that we worked off of, and it paid off. I mean, it was effortlessly. I mean, I went around places I didn't think I would be able to go, but it stuck, and I was happy to bring it home in first place overall.
And went around all the TCX cars as well. Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations indeed. I think that will be a happy camper tonight, and we'll see what that car can do in dry conditions tomorrow, at least if the forecast holds.
Yes, and fastest lap. He had fastest lap, so pole for tomorrow, right?
That is right.
Good starting slot. See how the car performs compared to the competition.
That is an interesting dynamic of setting the grid for race 2 by fastest lap when you have rain on the first day. It's going to mix things up quite a bit. And,
you would assume, right?
Well, you would.
Typically, it's not quick car in the dry, quick car in the wet, particularly with front wheel and rear wheel drive cars in the mix.
We'll find out tomorrow. Let's get down to Amanda.
Well, just off camera, Jacob Rude said that was insane. Your first race in the rain. What will you take from this experience?
I just think driving in the rain is such a unique experience, especially in a rear-wheel drive car. So looking forward, if we have to race in the rain tomorrow, at least I know what to expect.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
How about that? First race in the rain, and it's a victory.
It's way cool, and he's not believing the weather forecast like many did for today, because he's saying if it rains again tomorrow. The forecast is good, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's right. We were talking earlier about you either love these conditions or you don't. I think he's going to love them based on that experience. One more winner to chat with, and Amanda is there.
Well, Ryan, Caleb was just telling Calvin and I yesterday that his car is good in the rain. And Caleb, at your very first race and the first team win for Forbush Performance, what does this mean for you as a driver?
Well, this was really huge, and we came into the weekend knowing that we had a really good car, and we were kind of hoping for rain in the first place because we knew this car was really good in the rain. And so once we started seeing this today, we couldn't have asked for any better. So, we started out front and led the whole race and brought it home, so it's really good.
Congratulations, Caleb.
Thank you.
Now, that's just carrying on the family tradition, isn't it? There is the green flag that got the race officially underway. It was a safety car start and a single file start. The TCX field up front for now, but we're about to see the TC cars just come run roughshod up through the field. The front-wheel drive cars really excelling in these conditions.
Yeah, they really were well suited. So to overtake that much faster in terms of horsepower TCX class and take the overall win was certainly something special here today.
Side-by-side action here. This was a big save from Samantha Tan, and important because she was able to keep going and ended up with the podium finish in TCX. She finished second.
Yeah, nice recovery drive there, and just try to keep it clean. And here we see Steve Strymer going for a quick spin. That's coming out of turn 18. High-speed triple apex right-hander. Fortunately, the rest of the field there, you can see slipping and sliding, managed to miss him.
And Strymer unable to recover from that spin. Here we go. This is Eric Powell on the charge, able to make his way around Jacob Root there. That was for the overall lead at the time. Then this becomes the battle for the overall lead, and Jeff Rica showing the strength of this Hyundai platform.
Yeah, that's why Powell was hustling, because he realized he had some really quick cars behind him. He wanted to try and get the gap. He got a gap, but ultimately Rica just run him down.
And Rica got out in front and never looked back. There was one more restart, but it did not set him back at all. There's the checkered flag waving, and it was quite a race. Jeff Rica picking up the win in difficult conditions over Eric Powell. The win in TCX to Jacob Rood. TCA win went to the young man Caleb Bacon. Congratulations to him in wet conditions here at COTA.